This morning on Lone Star Politics, we're talking with State Senator Kelly Hancock for an update on the Texas legislature. Plus, Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez weighs in on the crowded field of presidential candidates.
We deliver.
This is Lone Star Politics from NBC5 and the Dallas Morning News.
Good Sunday morning. I'm Julie Fine from NBC5, along with Gromer Jeffers, political reporter with the Dallas Morning News. Hi, Gromer.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. Looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to spring and the great weather. And the 2019 session of the Texas legislature is more than halfway over, but there is still a lot of work to be done, including finishing the budget. Joining us this morning from Austin, State Senator Kelly Hancock from North Richland Hills. Thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Senator, the state budget has passed out of the Finance Committee in the Senate. This is more than $247 billion. Will it pass the entire chamber?
Oh, it'll pass the chamber. It is the one piece of legislation that we have to finish before we get out of here.
Senator, are there any sticking points that you have to look out for? What do you think, any sources of contention? Or will we have a smooth ride to passage?
Right, Gromer, we've seen from the very start of session that the bodies have all come together when we saw the governor, lieutenant governor, and the speaker all come together and talk about the priorities for the state. And I think if you look at both chambers and the budgets that we've had, is that really they reflect those priorities. The priorities being education, making sure that we provide money in the classroom for our teachers, those that are most closely connected to improvements within our education system, and of course property tax reform. And so there's $3 billion in one, and so the details of those are a little bit different. But if you look at the overall budget, they're quite similar. And at this point in time, you want to have some differences in each chamber so that as you negotiate, you make sure that all the pieces fit well together.
Senator, in terms of negotiation, the Senate is calling for a $5,000 raise across the board for teachers and librarians. The House passed their school finance bill this week. That calls for about an average of $1,800 and $500 average raise. Now, that would be for employees of the district as well as teachers, not administrators. Do you believe you'll have to come together on that and do some negotiating?
Well, I think what you're seeing in both chambers is making sure that we put teachers as a priority when we talk about education funding. We've seen where funding in some education systems has not really been directly impacting the classrooms. And I think really what you have to look at is the overall emphasis in both chambers is that the real desire to make sure that our teachers are addressed, that those that are most closely impacting of our children and the education system itself is where the monies will flow into, and of course the support services as well. So I think you'll see us come together with an agreement that does address the classroom and make sure that we're addressing the classroom and making that a priority.
It looks like you're going to get school finance done without the benefit, and I don't know if I should say benefit, of a special session. Is that the case, Senator?
Well, in Gromer, actually, what I'd like to do, and I think what the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker would all love to do, is to get all of this done without a special session. When I say all of this done, that we make sure that we address property tax issues across the state, and we address the education system, and kind of the fringe issues that you see us addressing in both budgets as well is women's health. There's additional funding there. Our higher education system, there's $500 million additional dollars that are into our higher education system. So I think we'll get the big issues addressed, but I think people are going to like some of the fringe issues that we're addressing within the budgets as well. And the goal, obviously, is to get through in 140 days. I know that I'm share the feeling with our colleagues that after 140 days, we enjoy working together, but it's time to get home with our families.
At the end of the day, at the end of the session, what would you like to see property tax reform look like?
Well, I think two things. Remember, I think, number one, we need more transparency, and we need to make sure that the property owners have more of an impact on what happens in the future. We've seen legislatures in the past spend billions of dollars to buy down property taxes, only to have those through appraisal increases and rate increases and various bond issues to see those property tax reductions that were made here in Austin disappear within literally 18 months. And so I think this time there's a really strong effort to make sure that we allow property owners to have a voice in future increases in property taxes, and that we're not able to hide behind appraisal increases to see revenues significantly increase within our local governments.
Senator, there have been some mayors that have raised concerns over the cap and that they wouldn't have enough money for certain services. Your reaction to that?
Well, really, I'd tell you, my focus is on the property owners and the constituents whose incomes are not rising as fast as their taxes are rising. And so we continue to hear stories of people that are literally taxed out of their homes. They've come and testified. And so I respect government, but just like the state has done, the state has addressed our budgetary concerns, and want to commend not only Chairman Nelson, but everybody on the Finance Committee that we've made sure we've done that within population and inflation. So I think what we've done is we've provided a guideline to make sure that we rein in government spending down the road to make sure that people don't lose ownership of their properties. The reality is what we see cities and counties fight against is a reduction in the 8% rollback rate, which was set when inflation was 10 to 12%. And when it was set at that rate back in 1981, it was Senator Farabee actually mentioned that this rate should drop when inflation drops, and frankly, inflation dropped 18 months after that, and the legislature has yet to come back and address that 8% rollback rate.
Thank you very much for being with us, and please come see us next time you are back in town.